come on. There's gotta be something good in here. Raw fish? No. Piece of string? No. Unwanted baby villager? Maybe for dinner. You know, I really thought I'd be in my new office by now. I can't believe I lost all my money investing in suspicious stew. Apparently zombie meat doesn't count as 7 secret herbs and spices. Communists. I guess if I'm ever going to make my fortune back, I need a new business plan. And with the release of the new Copper Age update, labour costs have never been cheaper. So why don't I make a machine to automate the creation of these new complacent labourers? I mean, after all, if you compare the height to a player, a Copper Golem is only 3/5 of a person. Oh boy, we're in the new update, and that means my mods have not updated, so we have to deal with the ugly, disgusting, desaturated fog again. Mojang, just please add an option to disable it. Please! 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 Now that the new update, the Copper Age update, is finally out, we can actually experiment and play with the new Copper Golems in a more sophisticated manner. And of course what I want to do is make an automated factory of slave labor. Yes. You know, I've just figured out they called it the Copper Age update because Copper Ages... Oh my god, I got it. Oh my... That's genius! It's genius! So the only way to make Copper Golems, you can't actually craft them. The only way to make them is to take a carved pumpkin and to place it on a copper block, and boom, you get a Copper Golem. And you also get a chest, which is going to be a bit of a pain. Hey, do you mind? I'll teach you to do something you're programmed to do. Oh my god, that crashed my game. Hang on a second, there's no way. Right, so if I place down a Copper Golem and I attack him, 1, 2. No way! No way! That crashes my game when I kill a golem? Am I being punished? Have my sins caught up with me? Fine game, if I can't kill the Copper Golems, I guess I'll have to settle for making them my slaves instead. Boo-hoo! So the point is, the only way to make a new Copper Golem is to place down a carved pumpkin on a copper block. So the question is, not only do we have to create copper blocks automatically, we also have to automatically make carved pumpkins. Now I reasonably assume, probably like many of you, that we could automate the creation of the carved pumpkin using dispensers. You see, if you place shears in a dispenser, it can usually do activities such as carving the wool off of sheep. So if I put a sheep here and then press this button, it automates like carving the wool of sheep. In case you didn't know, you could automate that. So I thought, well, you know, you use shears on pumpkins to make it a carved pumpkin. Boom. Surely this game is consistent enough, right? That if I place down a pumpkin, we can carve it. Right, Mojang? Yeah, it doesn't work. But have no fear, the Minecraft modding community is here. So I've installed this mod called Carpet Extras, which adds a little handy command where I can do dispensers carved pumpkins equals true, and now when I press this button, boom, it actually carves the pumpkin. Usually I don't like turning to mods that do my redstone shenanigans, but in all honesty, this should be base game. Like, come on, you can't tell me this should be base game. The next problem we had to solve in our pursuit for copper domination is when we make a Copper Golem, as said, it makes this copper chest along with it. Now, we're obviously going to have a copper creation chamber, a Copper Golem birthing chamber, right? And we obviously can't reuse it if we have this damn chest in the way. For those familiar with Bedrock, you can usually just piston it out the way, but here on Java, that isn't the case with things you can store items in. We can't just get rid of it, we have to come up with a solution. Do you mind? And well, what's the one way we have in vanilla to destroy blocks via redstone? TNT, baby! So I'm going to place a button on here. This is going to make the Copper Golem, and now we will activate the next signal, which will drop a TNT, and I've positioned this in just the way that it only gets rid of the chest. I mean, sure, the Copper Golem gets hurt, but, like, who cares? Enjoy! And that's crashed my game again. Great. So what I've done here is I've just done a tiny bit of redstone to automate that little process. I've also hooked it up to a slime block here, and you'll see what that does when I place down this copper block. It shifts along, activates the copper golem, blasts him out the way, and then blasts the chest out the way. So now we can do this as a bit of a loop. We can make the copper golem, he gets put down into the whatever it's going to be down there, fire, brimstone. The unfortunate problem with this, though, is we need to automate the copper blocks as well. So what I've done on this machine is I've added this little module on the side here. And because we can't farm just whole copper blocks, that means we're going to have to use the crafter to automatically craft them for us. So what I've done here is if I put some copper golems in here, you can see that it's slowly aligning this into a copper block. And then when that signal reaches to a certain level, it's taken away from this comparator and it sends a signal back to the crafter to actually craft it into a block. You'll then notice that coming out of the auto crafter, it actually goes through a hopper line and into this dispenser over here, which will automatically dispense the copper blocks. The idea is we can stand here and then it will automatically dispense the copper blocks into our inventory. We can place them and then they'll automate the things. It automates the things! Now for farming the pumpkins, we do actually have a slight consideration. You see, when pumpkins are grown, let's say this pumpkin has just grown, we can't piston it over to a chamber where it gets sheared. Because in case you don't know, pumpkins automatically break when pistoned to help with farms. So what this means is we're going to have to shear the pumpkins into carved pumpkins on the exact spot they grow. And this is the little nifty device I've come up with that. So now when a pumpkin is grown, it shears it and dispenses it. So we can see that carved pumpkin has just been released. Boom. Although let's be honest here, guys. I'm not the kind of guy that wants just a couple slaves. I'm not after a militia. I'm after an army. And therefore, one little module, one space for growing pumpkins is not going to be enough. We need to expand, expand, expand. And that's what I've done. Welcome to the carved pumpkinator maker thing. This is just basically that module repeated a whole bunch of times, and then just a bunch of hoppers all linked into one central system, which goes down and down and down, and into the thing we've already made. Beautiful. The one last thing we need to add onto this is automated copper ingots. And I had an idea for that. In case you don't know, drowned mobs can actually drop copper ingots on death, which means I want to make a drowned farm to fuel my birthing machine. I mean, isn't it symbolic that with the death of a drowned creates life or something? I get this poetry there. Look, I'm trying to justify my actions somehow. So here is a drowned farm designed by Team 109. An interesting thing about finding these farms online is they're always made for such a large-scale purpose that I always wonder who is it for. This farm is capable of making 18,000 copper ingots per hour. Who is using that much copper? When would you have... It can make 6,000 tridents. Why? Lucky for me, though, I don't give a damn about survival mode. So how this farm works is below all these nether portals, we have a large spawning pool of water. The drowned spawn in here, and because of the soul soil, they immediately get sent up to the surface, where they'll then clip into one of these many boats. They'll then sit into the boat, which immediately puts their head into the nether portal, meaning they transport to the nether. Once in the nether, they fall into this chamber down here, and burn to death. They were only alive for a couple seconds, and they suffered all throughout it. Despite being a death machine, you do have to appreciate the engineered efficiency of it. I mean, after all, it was made by a German. What we do then is we just take those copper ingots and we put it into our machine to make the copper blocks, to then make the copper golems. And you know, I've got to say, due to how the drowned farm works by sending them to the nether to die, don't you think it's kind of symbolic? Beautiful, that it means that our copper golem creation farm means that all the golems are born in hell? I guess the only thing left to do now is to give it a test. So we've got here, it's made some copper blocks. All we have to do is place it. And into the lava it goes. Beautiful! Oh, god damn it!